Flowers, pretty flowers. Only £2 a bunch. William's small, reedy voice barely carried over the London bustle. His worn shoes shuffled on the cold pavement outside Harrods, the grand department store. At just 13, William was a wisp of a boy, with golden hair dulled by city grime and clothes that had seen better days. He clutched a bucket overflowing with slightly wilted flowers, the remnants of his morning's efforts. William's life wasn't a picture postcard. He and his mother, Mary, lived in a cramped, damp flat in a rundown part of London. Mary, once a vibrant woman, was now frail and often bedridden, her cough a constant, painful reminder of their precarious situation. Every penny William earned selling flowers went towards her medicine and their meager meals. Harrods, with its glittering displays and wealthy clientele, felt like a different world. William knew he didn't belong, but the desperate hope of selling his remaining flowers, enough to buy his mother some warm broth, kept him rooted to the spot. He offered a bunch of drooping daffodils to a passing lady, her fur coat brushing against his threadbare jacket. "Flowers, madam. Just £2. The woman barely glanced at him, her nose wrinkling in distaste. Before she could dismiss him, a booming voice cut through the air. "Oi, you! What do you think you're doing? Bothering our customers?" It was John Smith, the head security guard of Harrods, a mountain of a man with a face like thunder. He glared at William as if he were vermin. I'm just selling flowers, sir," William stammered, shrinking back. "We don't allow beggars here. Get lost. And take your pathetic weeds with you." John advanced, his hand raised. William flinched, expecting a blow. Instead, John kicked the bucket, sending flowers scattering across the pristine pavement. William scrambled to gather them, his eyes stinging with tears. "Please, sir, I need the money for my mother. She's ill." John sneered. "That's not my problem. Now. Clear off before I call the police." William, defeated, gathered the trampled flowers, his heart heavy with despair. The shoppers streamed past, oblivious to the small tragedy unfolding before them. He dragged his empty bucket towards a quieter side street, his shoulders slumped. As William was about to give up, a kind voice stopped him. "Young man, are those your flowers?" A woman stood before him, her appearance a stark contrast to the security guard. She was elegantly dressed, but her eyes held a warmth that reached out to William. This was Elizabeth Taylor, a regular at Harrods, but with a heart far bigger than her purse. "Yes, ma'am," William replied. His voice choked. "But they're ruined now." Elizabeth knelt, her gloved hand gently touching a crushed daffodil. "They were beautiful. How much were you selling them for?" £2 a bunch, ma'am." "But I'll take them all," Elizabeth said, her voice firm. She pulled out her purse and handed William a crisp £20 note. William stared at the money, his eyes wide. "But, that's too much, ma'am. They're not worth that." Elizabeth smiled. "It's not about the flowers, dear. It's about helping someone who deserves it. You work hard, and you care for your mother. That's worth more than any flowers." She paused. "But hard work isn't always enough. Dear one. You will need to acquire skills, and a dream to chase." William, overwhelmed, could only manage a choked, "Thank you, ma'am." As Elizabeth walked away, William clutched the money, a flicker of hope rekindled in his chest. He could buy his mother the broth, and maybe even some bread. The next day, William, buoyed by Elizabeth's kindness, ventured towards Covent Garden, a bustling market area known for its flower stalls. He saw a small, unassuming flower shop tucked away on a side street. In front stood a man, the complete opposite of the large and menacing John. This was a middle-aged man with a sturdy build and calloused hands, arranging bouquets. This was Thomas Brown, the owner. William hesitated, then approached the shop. "Excuse me, sir. Do you need any help?" Thomas looked at William, his eyes assessing. "What can you do, lad?" I can sell flowers," William said, a bit shyly. "I've been selling them near Harrods." Thomas raised an eyebrow. "Harrods, eh? Tough crowd. But you look like a hard worker." He paused. "Tell you what. I could use an extra pair of hands around here. You can help me with the flowers, and I'll teach you a thing or two. And I will pay you." William's heart leaped. This was an opportunity he couldn't have dreamed of. "Yes, sir. Thank you, sir." From that day on, William's life began to change. He worked tirelessly at Thomas's shop, learning the names of flowers, how to care for them, how to arrange them into beautiful bouquets. He also met Emily, a cheerful girl with pigtails, who worked at a nearby fruit stand. They became fast friends, sharing their lunches and dreams. Emily would often help William with his flower arrangements after she'd done. Selling for the day, her laughter echoing through the small shop. "These are beautiful, William," she exclaimed one afternoon, admiring a bouquet of roses and lilies he had just created. "You have a real talent." William blushed, but he felt a surge of pride. He was no longer just a boy selling wilted flowers, he was learning a craft. A skill. But life, as it often does, threw another curveball. William's mother's health took a turn for the worse. The medicine was becoming more expensive, and William's earnings, even with his new job, weren't enough. One evening, William sat beside his mother's bed, holding her frail hand. Mary smiled weakly. "Don't worry about me, William," she whispered. "You're a good boy. You'll make something of yourself." William fought back tears. He felt helpless, just as he had that day outside Harrods. He knew that he would do anything for his mother, and that he would not go down without a fight. He had to try harder, to learn all he could, and make something of this shot that was given to him. The next day was particularly hard, as it reminded William of the early struggles he faced. While walking past Harrods, he saw Emily trying to sell a few small flowers to some shoppers who were exiting. He winced as he saw John approaching her. "I thought I told you lot, to get out of here," John shouted. "I'm just trying to make a few pounds." "I need dash," Emily started, but John cut her off. "I don't care. Get out of here now, before I make you." William felt rage build up inside of him, forgetting how scared he was of the man before. He went up to John. "Leave her alone," he shouted, his voice shaking, but fierce. John was taken aback, but turned to William with a sneer. "You again? And who do you think you are, giving me orders?" "She's just a child, leave her alone," William replied, standing protectively in front of Emily. John shoved William aside, sending him sprawling on the ground. "Get out of here, both of you." He pointed to the two of them. Emily helped William up, and the two of them walked away. Dejected, with the feeling of defeat that William had grown accustomed to. He knew he had to continue, to not give up. He had to fight. William continued to work at the flower shop, and poured his heart and soul into learning everything he could. Thomas, seeing his dedication and talent, taught him not only about flowers but also about running a business. He showed William how to manage inventory, how to deal with suppliers, and how to treat customers with respect and care. "A flower shop isn't just about selling flowers, William," Thomas said one day. "It's about bringing beauty and joy into people's lives." Those words resonated deeply with William. He began to dream of opening his own flower shop. A place where everyone would feel welcome, regardless of their background. He envisioned a shop filled with vibrant colors and fragrant blooms, a place that would brighten the lives of those who entered. He spent his rare free moments sketching designs for his future shop, meticulously planning every detail. Emily, ever supportive, would offer suggestions and encouragement. "It'll be the most beautiful flower shop in London, William," she'd say, her eyes shining with belief in him. 10 years passed. William, no longer the scrawny boy selling flowers on the street, had transformed into a confident young man. He stood in a sharp suit, his eyes reflecting a quiet determination. He was in a meeting room, the logo of Williams Blooms, a now successful chain of flower shops, prominently displayed. William's journey had been long and arduous. After years of working with Thomas, he had saved enough money, along with a small loan, to open his first shop. It was a small, modest place, but it was filled with his passion and dedication. He sourced the freshest flowers, created stunning arrangements, and treated every customer with the kindness and respect he had once craved. Word of William's Blooms spread quickly. People were drawn to the beauty of the flowers, the warmth of the atmosphere, and William's genuine care. He opened more shops, each one a reflection of his vision. A place where beauty and kindness bloomed. He made sure that in his shops, there was a special program for those in need. He never forgot the hardships he had faced, the sting of rejection, the feeling of helplessness. He remembered Elizabeth's kindness, Thomas's guidance, and Emily's unwavering support. These memories fueled his determination to create a business that was not only successful, but also compassionate. Today was a special day. William was about to acquire a section of Harrods, the very place where he had once been humiliated and driven away. It wasn't just a business deal, it was a personal triumph. He wanted to transform that space into a haven of beauty and inclusivity, a place where everyone, regardless of their social standing, would feel welcomed and valued. William stepped out of his sleek, black car, his gaze fixed on the imposing facade of Harrods. The memories flooded back, the cold pavement, the sneering security guard, the scattered flowers. But this time, he wasn't an insignificant boy, he was a successful businessman. Returning on his own terms. He walked through the grand entrance, the very spot where he'd once been shooed away like a stray dog. The interior had changed, of course, but the underlying atmosphere of exclusivity still lingered. William's mission was to change that. The new Williams Blooms section within Harrods was a vibrant oasis amidst the opulence. It was designed to be welcoming and accessible, with bright colors, comfortable seating, and, of course, a breathtaking array of flowers. The staff, hand-picked by William, were trained to treat every customer with the utmost respect and courtesy. As William surveyed his new shop, a sense of quiet satisfaction filled him. He had come full circle. He had transformed a place of pain and rejection into a symbol of hope and kindness. Soon, an assistant approached him. "Mr. William, everything is ready." William nodded and made his way to a small stage set up in the center of the flower shop. A crowd had gathered, a mix of shoppers, staff, and local residents. And there, near the back, almost hiding, was Emily, standing and giving him a look of support. He took the microphone, his eyes scanning the faces before him. He recognized some of them, people who had likely walked past him, unseeing, on that fateful day 10 years ago. But instead of resentment, he felt a sense of gratitude. Their indifference had fueled his ambition. "Welcome, everyone," William began, his voice clear and strong. 10 years ago, I stood outside this very building, a young boy selling flowers, trying to earn enough money to buy medicine for my sick mother. I was treated with contempt, told I didn't belong here. Today, I stand here. Not as an outsider, but as someone who believes that everyone belongs. He paused, letting his words sink in. Williams Blooms is more than just a flower shop. It's a place where beauty and kindness are shared, where everyone is welcome, regardless of their background. It's a reminder that even in the most unlikely of places, hope can bloom. A wave of applause rippled through the crowd. William continued, his voice filled with emotion. I wouldn't be here today without the help of some very special people. A kind woman who bought my flowers when I was at my lowest, a generous mentor who taught me everything I know, and a dear friend who believed in me even when I didn't believe in myself. He looked towards Emily and smiled. He concluded, "My hope is that this shop will be a reminder that even in the face of adversity, we can create something beautiful. That kindness and compassion can triumph over indifference and cruelty. And that everyone, no matter how small or insignificant they may seem, has the potential to blossom." The applause was even louder this time. A testament to the power of his story. William stepped down from the stage, his heart full. He had not only achieved his dream but had also created a space that embodied his values. The next day, William returned to Williams Bloom's at Harrods to check on how things were going. As he was entering the main office, he heard the light knocking. Before his assistant came in. "Mr. William, there is an older gentleman who would like to see you, he's waiting outside." William went outside to the main lobby of his shop, and saw an older man standing, almost trembling. William was shocked, as he recognized the frail, thin man. It was John Smith, the former security guard of Harrods, who had made his life miserable. John looked nothing like the imposing figure he remembered. He was gaunt and weary, his shoulders hunched, his eyes filled with a mixture of shame and desperation. When John saw William, he shuffled forward, his head bowed. "Sir. Mr. William, I heard you were hiring. I know I'm old. But I can still work. I need a job." William stared at John, a whirlwind of emotions swirling within him. The memories of that day, the humiliation, the pain, surged back. But looking at the broken man before him, William felt no anger, only a profound sense of empathy. After taking a second, William gestured for John to follow him to a small area for them to talk. "Please, have a seat, Mr. Smith." Inside, William listened to John's story. After leaving Harrods, John's life had taken a downward turn. He had lost his job, his family had fallen apart, and his health had deteriorated. He was now desperate for any kind of work. William listened patiently, his initial shock giving way to a quiet understanding. He saw not the man who had once tormented him, but a fellow human being in need. When John had finished, William nodded slowly. He called in his HR manager and arranged for John to be given a job as a security guard in one of his smaller shops, a position that wouldn't be too physically demanding. He also arranged for John to have a place to stay in the staff accommodations. As John was leaving, he turned to William, his eyes filled with tears. "Thank you, sir. Thank you. I don't deserve your kindness." He paused, then added hesitantly, Do I know you from somewhere?" William smiled gently. "Let's just say we've met before. Everyone deserves a second chance, Mr. Smith." He chose not to bring up the past, offering, instead, a path to move forward. That evening, William stood on the same small stage where he had given his opening speech. The shop was filled with people, a vibrant tapestry of London life. He spoke, not as a businessman, but as someone who had lived through hardship and emerged stronger. 10 years ago, he began. His voice resonating with emotion, I was a boy selling flowers, struggling to survive. I learned that life can be cruel, that people can be indifferent, even hateful. But I also learned that kindness exists, that hope can bloom in the most unexpected places, and that everyone has the potential to change. He continued. This shop is dedicated to everyone who has ever felt lost, rejected, or forgotten. It's a reminder that we all deserve compassion, that we all have something to offer, and that even the smallest act of kindness can make a difference. He concluded, if you're facing challenges, believe in yourself. Don't give up on your dreams. And if you can, extend a helping hand to others. Because together, we can create a world where beauty and kindness flourish. His words were met with sustained applause, a heartfelt tribute to his journey and his message. William stepped down, mingling with the crowd, no longer separated by his past or his success.